Hey team, you're about to experience my interview with Paul Albou from Albou. Paul is the co-founder of Albou, and Albou is a marketing automation platform for brands on Instagram. It sounds like pretty impressive technology, so have a listen to the interview, and I think you're going to enjoy it. This is the E-commerce Edge podcast with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Pod. It is awesome to have you along for the ride with us today. I'm really looking forward to introducing my next guest for you because I think he's come up with a platform that is going to be super interesting to my audience. And I would love to welcome Paul Albou from Albou to the podcast. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, Jason. Nice to meet you.
Really super nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. You are based in Paris, France, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's exciting to have you along today, and you've got an interesting background. You've got this entrepreneurial background, retail background. Also, you worked in Tokyo for a while as a commercial development manager. You've come from a bit of a finance background as well. And then now we've got into Albou, which is a social commerce platform, and we'll talk a little bit more about Albou in a moment. But if we look back at your background, what led you to the place where you decided you wanted to get into the social commerce space? What was your journey?
Yeah, so actually all my life I was about retail, ready to wear as well, actually, as my grandparents, when they came from Tunisia actually to France, they created like their own fashion label. My parents as well, actually, they created the brand. So all my life, all my shit was about this topic. So I had the chance actually to join ESSEC Business School, that is like the second best business school in France. And I could meet actually Jonas, that will be my partner actually, that is crazy about SaaS. And we decided actually to create a bridge between his learning from the environment and my learning about actually all the retail stuff, the e-commerce stuff, in order to create a business that could leverage SaaS for the e-commerce company.
Makes sense. The reality is, I guess, that when you start out in a retail family and when you start out creating a brand, and as you said, your parents operated in the fashion space, and I think you pretty quickly realize some of the challenges when you work in retail. You start to really pinpoint the areas that are difficult to create sticky customers at retail, right? You have this challenge where customers come into your retail store, they maybe engage with you 1-2 times physically in the store, but unless you're capturing some of their contact details, say in a CRM or a point of sale platform, it's really difficult to create intimate relationships with customers at retail, these one-off touch points when they come into shop. But creating long-lasting relationships with retail customers is really challenging unless you can get them into digital channels somehow. And I'm guessing that was part of the realization that you came to after years in retail.
Totally, actually. You definitely got the point, actually, because we created Albou during the first confinement, actually, in March 2020. And at this time, of course, all the stores were closed. And actually, there were a huge boom on Instagram. And the people that are usually like community managers having a reactive job of just replying to DM or creating some posts, they were facing to a peak of interaction where actually the flagship of all the brands, even traditional brands, were their Instagram accounts. So actually at this point, we said, okay, there is something to make, because while you can have the best relationship with your customer in store, but your flagship, your online flagship, that is your Instagram account, you have no follow-up with them, you don't know who are your followers, and you are not able to engage them. So this was actually the first problematic that we were tackling with Albou, and you definitely got the point.
And you guys specialize specifically in Instagram. Now, there are some social commerce platforms out there that kind of try to specialize in all the platforms. They try to specialize in Facebook. They try to specialize in YouTube. They try to specialize in TikTok, Instagram. They're trying to be all things to all people. But what you really honed in on primarily, and from what I can tell, I've never used Albou before, but from what I can tell from your website and the collateral, is that you really specialize primarily in the fashion vertical, and you specialize 100% on Instagram, and you specialize, again, at least from what I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, you specialize in leveraging DM, so direct message interactions directly with the people that both follow you and interact with your content.
You definitely got it, actually. Just to give it more precision, we're targeting any brand having an audience on Instagram. This is our ICP, actually. In terms of details, actually, why we're focusing on Instagram DM, because actually this is today the only channel where brands can have an authentic and genuine relationship with their customer or potential customers. Because when you have a look around the different platforms, you have Facebook today, it's mostly for boomers, and actually the DMs that brands are receiving in this platform are mostly actually customer service, like support interaction. So there is no real relationship between the brand and their follower on Facebook. On the other hand, a platform that is very trendy today, that is TikTok. If you have a look on it, first, they don't have any inbox, any DM. Brands and their potential customers cannot interact together. But also the way the platform is built today is that it's a platform that is very good in order to provide content such as YouTube, but there is no relationship that can be created yet between a brand and its TikTok audience, as the follower base has no sense and as nobody is chatting and DMing each other.
Yes, you raise a very good point, which is that although TikTok and YouTube are phenomenal content distribution platforms, it's very difficult to create a direct one-to-one relationship on those platforms. We can think of YouTube as definitely as a content distribution platform, and maybe even a community platform similar to TikTok. But because there is no ability to directly interact between the content creator and the followers or the consumers of that content, because you cannot directly message them like you can on Instagram, it is much more difficult. You basically have to interact with the creator in public, in the thread, in the comment threads of that content. That is how you interact with the creator or the brand. Now, the distinct difference between those platforms and Instagram is that direct message capability, that direct text-based messaging capability. And also you can obviously send videos, images, etc., but it's primarily text-based messaging. And so what that means, and at least from what I can tell about your platform, what you are trying to leverage is, you know how with email, let's say you run Klaviyo, you run any marketing automation platform, you can create workflows that happen based on certain triggers and events. And then you can, through a visual editor, you can create content workflows based on those events, and then you can send out email messages. Now, from what I can tell from your platform, you are trying to essentially bring that kind of drag and drop visual editor type of experience to Instagram DMs for the creators and the brands that are on Instagram. And based on interactions of both followers and people that comment and interact with your content, then from there, you can create direct messaging workflows based on those triggers.
Exactly. And the engagement actually is outstanding because we have 100% open rate. And actually, you are in the inbox of your potential customers as same as their best friend, their girlfriend, their whatever. So actually, this kind of notification is very powerful. The second thing is like we have CTR above 30% where we're creating this kind of broadcast. And the last thing actually is that the channel is open to conversational selling. We can either create some flows where at the end, we just ask an open question. Do you need help actually? So this is my new collection. Do you need help actually to get the product that fits you? And then if there is questions, the community manager can close the sales. And also we're able to create conversational workflows, actually bring the follower actually into a kind of chatbot in order to make the best product recommendation in a conversational way.
And what I like about what you guys are doing is that this is slightly different to, for example, what Gorgias is doing through Instagram DM, because what Gorgias is doing is they are turning the DM channel into a customer service channel, meaning if you put up a piece of content, let's say you're a brand, you're a retailer, whatever, you put up a piece of content that your customers like, if they reach out to you, so if they initiate the contact, then that DM can go directly into Gorgias, and then the brand can easily respond in a unified way. It basically treats Instagram DMs like a live chat system. And so that's really good from a response, a rapid response and customer service channel. So if someone reaches out to you, the speed with which you respond to them can oftentimes make the difference between a happy customer or potential customer and an unhappy one. Now, in your case, what you're doing is you're actually being proactive. You are allowing the brands in an automated way to reach out to people that are interacting with their content, that are either commenting, liking, etc. And then you are triggering off a workflow that automatically is relevant to that piece of content, right? So in other words, I put up a photo of a new t-shirt drop that we're doing. What we can do is we can tailor the outreach campaign via DM to be very specific to that product and that interaction with that product via Instagram.
Definitely. And what's interesting also today is that when you see our brands, actually our users, they cannot use the ticketing system for Instagram, because Instagram today it's too weird, because you will have like influencers sending you DM, fans just sending you, influencers having customer service related queries that cannot be usually as a regular ticketing system. So even of this part, we're seeing today that brands are having like social media support team that needs actually to create the different segments and to be able not to be just reactive. It means reply to tickets, but to be proactive and to turn each of these interactions, each of these people inside this audience into opportunities, either to make them actually long-time customers and repeat customers, or to turn them into ambassadors, into affiliates. That is very important also for the brands we are helping.
And so what the workflow would typically look like, and just correct me if I'm wrong here, what the workflow would typically look like is that someone would interact with a post. So you put up a post, someone either likes it or they comment on your post, then that effectively, that is captured. That event is captured inside Albou. Then from there, that triggers off an automatic DM from your system into their inbox about that specific post, for example, and that becomes a campaign. That becomes an outreach campaign. Then from there, if the customer responds to you via DM, then that means that that effectively is an opt-in, right? They don't have to specifically click a link or a URL or anything like that. Just them responding creates the opt-in, right? That means that they've effectively given you approval to have a conversation with them. Then you continue the conversation directly within the Albou platform with that basically person who's engaged with your content. And then from there, I'm guessing that, because that is the beauty of Instagram, right? Is that what brands will typically do is they will put a link in the bio, because of course you can't put URL links. Sure, if you're running Instagram ads, yes, you can put a link to that product, which then links out and punches them out to the website to execute the purchase. But on a regular organic post, because you cannot put URL links in the caption and you cannot put a URL link on the image itself, you can tag people, but you cannot create a URL link. Because of that, what you guys are doing is you are effectively allowing the brand via DM to inject URLs into the conversation.
Definitely. This is the point. Actually, the way we are working is we are able to capitalize on all the interactions that a brand have with its community. And we ensure actually the brand that all the content that is created can be a source of opt-in for the brand. What's the workflow is like, anytime someone is sending a DM to the brand, is commenting one of their posts, is participating to a giveaway, or is mentioning the brand in story, for instance, we will send automatically an opt-in request. It will be, hey, do you want to be part of my close community? You will receive before everyone our new sales, our new discount, our new whatever, our new drop. Do you want to be part of it? Then actually for the user, it's very simple, because he has like a quick reply feature on Instagram. The user just has to click on yes with its finger. Then the user is considered as opt-in. So actually, we don't rely anymore on the organic reach of Instagram to re-engage with this user. So we own actually the right to re-engage with him without any ads, without any randomness regarding the algorithm of Instagram. Then how do we engage with these profiles? As you mentioned it, is that we have the possibility to create broadcasts and saying, hey, this is our new drop. This is a specific link for you so you can have access before everyone. Do you need help before purchasing your product? We're glad to help. And then actually what we see is that in terms of performance compared to email marketing, for instance, we see that the value of one DM opt-in is 20 times higher than a value of an email opt-in. Actually, it's a highly converting channel to create engagement with the people loving your brand.
And what I like about this is that you guys have effectively brought marketing automation to Instagram. That's what you've done. You've effectively created similar workflows, similar triggers. Marketers understand marketing automation. They understand what that looks like. They understand how the model works. They understand the concepts of content linked with specific campaigns. They understand UTM codes. They understand opt-ins. They understand all of that. And I guess the other beautiful thing about this is that you have brought marketing automation to Instagram in an Instagram compliant way, meaning that the opt-in is native Instagram. It leverages native Instagram functionality for the opt-in component. Now, what if a customer wants to opt out of the conversation and they want to opt out of the content? We don't want them to be in a position where they have to block you to stop you being able to have access to their inbox. If they choose to opt out for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe they've moved out of the country or whatever it might be. How then, is there some native Instagram functionality that you guys leverage for quick opt-out in the same way that they can quick opt-in?
Yeah, actually, there is different way. The first way is the way Instagram opt-in is made is that regularly you get the right for a weekly, monthly, or daily opt-in. Then regularly, regarding the category of the opt-in, it will last 1 month, 6 months, or 12 months. So regularly, after this period, they have the possibility to opt out. The second way actually is we're integrating an inbox. So most of the time when someone wants to opt out, it's like SMS. People say, stop or please unsubscribe, and we can unsubscribe them directly actually.
Okay, great. So what you're doing is you're doing word detection. So you're effectively scanning for the type of message that someone has sent. And if they say stop or they say unsubscribe or they use some sort of stop word, you will recognize that stop word and automatically opt them out.
Automatically, exactly.
And what this does is it helps to keep them, because as I understand it, Instagram and Facebook for that matter are very serious about protecting people's inboxes. And so therefore they're quite strict on what brands can do and cannot do in inboxes. And so it allows the brands to stay very compliant with these rules so that they don't get blocked or banned from being able to access Instagram, or that their accounts don't get wiped.
But actually, Meta is aware of that, but also the brands are aware of that. Actually, it's one of the most performing channels existing today in order to create engagement. So if you abuse from it, then actually the value of it vanishes. So actually what we see is like even the brands we are working with, they don't make actually 10 per week. They want to be sure that the way they are pushing specific offers has to be very, very interesting for the customer.
And I guess it's like the unsubscribe rate, right? So when you're running our marketing automation campaigns, one of the biggest KPIs of email performance is what is your unsubscribe rate. And when unsubscribe rates start to spike, okay, I'm flooding people's inboxes. I'm not creating interesting content. I'm not engaging with them in the right way. I'm disrespecting their inbox. And so therefore, that is one of the biggest signals of whether you are treating your customers right and you're giving them what they want. You're creating content of interest that they want to engage with, and that you're being targeted as opposed to batch and blast. You're right. I think marketers are very sensitive to any kind of unsubscribes or opt-outs. And so I'm guessing that it's similar with your platform, that the quote unquote opt-out rate is something that marketers would watch very closely, and that gives them clues and indicators about whether they need to modify the contact frequencies, whether they need to modify the messaging, the initial messaging that they send, whether they need to create suppression lists, for example. Do you have the ability in your platform, let's say you send 3 consecutive messages to a recipient and they don't respond to any of them? Is it a scenario where you can set a rule in your platform where you can suppress sending messages to that particular person based on a rule set for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, so that you basically suppress messaging so that you don't overwhelm them if you get the sense that they're not responding to your content anyway?
Actually, no, not yet, because this is not the way our users are using the platform actually. The channel is very new. So what we see actually is that for the first time, it's the social media team that is creating directly engagement with the follower base through the inbox. What we see actually is that as it's the social media manager that knows already the community and how to talk to them, we have unsubscribe rate over 1 month below 0.1%. Actually, nobody wants to unsubscribe. And more of that, actually, anytime we are creating push notification, we are getting like, thank you, so exciting, oh, I couldn't imagine. Actually, it's very engaging, and there is a very close proximity in this inbox. So we are not thinking today in terms of roadmap to think about all this tout system, or how can I be sure that I don't overwhelm the people that are not engaging with the brand, but to help us to do this kind of segment. We're today working on an integration with Klaviyo. Actually, we're populating some data from our users. So actually we can create this link with Klaviyo, and we will use the link of Klaviyo to say, okay, this user never whatever. So actually this one, we will just engage with him once a month to be very close to him with a very interesting offer. So we'll more work hand by hand with Klaviyo for this part than trying to do something by ourselves.
And so is the goal behind this to enhance the number of channels that you are authorized to contact the customer through, so you're effectively migrating them out of the DMs into a more direct owned channel like email? And does Instagram allow you, via your API integration with Instagram, does it allow you, once they opt into the DM inbox, does Instagram surface at that point their email to you via API, or is it something that the customer from the DM would actually have to follow a link to opt in to email from there in an automated way?
Actually, my job with you is not to make my follower base opt in on the email newsletter, because I know that DM newsletter is 20 times more effective than email newsletter. This is the first thing. But only through DM, we can have some limitation about the information we are getting from this follower. Is he customers? Is he repeat customers? Is he whatever? Actually, for that, I need to get the email address, and to get more information, I'm populating the data directly on Klaviyo. So I'm sure that Klaviyo, through emails, preserve my DMs that are very performing, and actually on the other end, that they can have a specific segment for the Ubu's newsletter through DM, so they don't target these people. The purpose is just to make a split. I get data from Klaviyo, so I can create more engaging campaign to the biggest customer actually, and actually that Klaviyo doesn't over target this user.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So really what we're doing is we're just sharing data backwards and forwards, so it improves the Klaviyo knowledge, basically the profile properties about that customer in Klaviyo can be added from Albou, and then vice versa. Albou will know about what interactions have been had between this person and the brand via email. Now, so does Albou automatically, once the customer opts in to DM contact, does Albou automatically get access to the email address?
We are creating flows. Actually, thanks to DM, actually, we can say goodbye to any kind of forms, because we can create forms on conversational way. So the welcome flow for our users is like, hey, do you want to opt in? Yes, no. We say yes. Then we say, okay, if you want to have a better information and a better relationship, give us our email address. Give us your email address. And then the user give it. We're able to store it, and then to make a link to Klaviyo.
Okay. So the customer has to both opt into ongoing DM contact, and they have to opt into basically preference management by providing their email address in the DM conversation. That makes sense.
And it's not mandatory, because the channel by itself is self-efficient actually. But if I want to get more granularity about the people on my Instagram DM newsletter, I need to make a link with their email address. So actually, I can populate more info about the profile.
Yeah, makes absolute sense. Makes absolute sense. Listen, mate, it sounds like you have created a very interesting platform. And if someone wants to buy, let's say they want to buy via the platform, do you automate the process of injecting links that are relevant to the campaign in question, the content that is typically linked to a campaign, which is linked to the workflow that you create via DM? Then from there, do you automatically inject the URL into the conversation, so that, let's say, the customer does want to buy that product, it's simply they click on it and boom, they can go directly to the e-commerce website to complete the purchase?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we can add cart, we can add directly link to a specific product. So actually, it becomes easier for the follower to buy the product that he wants to get.
And do you integrate with, specifically, do you have a deep integration with any specific e-commerce platforms, Shopify, BigCom, whatever it might be? Do you have any deep integrations with the e-commerce platform itself, to where
Yeah, it's
You
directly
do
to
with
Shopify.
Shopify.
Exactly.
And so does that allow you to execute the transaction directly from DM via API connection to Shopify, or does the customer still need to actually follow the link and execute the purchase effectively within Shopify's checkout?
At the moment, actually, it allows us to directly redirect to the Shopify, and it's directly to the Shopify actually that will finish its order.
Okay, cool. Listen, it has been awesome to hear about your platform. What are some of the functionalities that your customers are asking for today that Albou doesn't do yet, but that you would like it to do? Or what are the top 2-3 things that are on your product roadmap to enhance Albou with new functionality that's going to make it even easier for brands to engage with their audience?
Yeah, actually, what we are looking for actually is to better get opt-in directly from the traffic of the website of the brand. So actually, we are waiting for a way actually so easily when a user is getting into a website, he can click on a button on the website to then directly send so we can directly get an opt-in on the Instagram. This is the first thing that is very important for us and for our customers. The second thing actually in terms of our roadmap is to create more powerful and more easy flows, conversational workflows. So actually the community manager can directly by himself create the workflows that will help him to generate more performance. The last part actually that is important for our customers and we're about to plan if we will make it by ourselves or through a partner is that a big value coming today from the Instagram audience of our user are like influencers, ambassadors, etc. So we want to onboard easily these profiles into affiliate program, and this is something that is very important for our users as well.
Wow, amazing. So let's just go back to that first piece of functionality. That sounds very interesting to me. At the moment, when customers buy through an e-commerce website, they usually are given the opportunity to opt in to email newsletters. And so what you want to do is you want to effectively create the exact same experience, but for the permission to directly message customers and connect with customers via Instagram. Now, what would that require on the customer's part? Now for email, it's simple. You put in your email address and you're subscribed. So in the case of Instagram, would they just simply put in their Instagram handle and then say that, their profile, or would they put in their profile link? How would they authorize specifically? Are you able to take their opt-in just via email? So in other words, if they say, here's my email address that's associated with my Instagram profile, can you take that? And as long as you get the correct permission there, will Instagram via API tell you which profile is associated with that email?
The flow will be different actually, because it's through the website actually, we're getting the possibility to click on a button to then directly send a DM to the brand. And actually the workflow will be like, okay, the user on the website click on this button, gets directly into this Instagram DM inbox, send a message that will be already defined. And then from that, we can get the opt-in from the user.
That's a much more seamless. So basically, it's going to automatically open up. It's going to be the trigger that automatically opens up Instagram with the brand as the recipient of the DM with a predefined message that signals the opt-in, and all they've got to do is press send, and then that automatically opts them in via the native Instagram channel. So there's no manual linking process apart from using the native DM functionality that is triggered by the link from the merchant's website.
Exactly.
Wow, that's much more seamless. In some respects, that's even easier than email, because once you put your email address in, usually there's a double opt-in where they send an email to the email address that was supposedly opt-in, and then they have to approve it a second time. So there's double opt-in.
And nobody reads carefully emails. This is the worst thing, actually. You are putting your email everywhere, and then you don't know from which brands you are getting this. So actually, we can then actually very capitalize on this opt-in and be sure actually the customer is getting a strong relationship with the brand he likes, actually, because it's more something actually to opt in DM than just giving an email address, because it has no, as I told you in the beginning, through DMs is where you have your friends, your family, whoever. Emails, it's all the business stuff, it's all the boring stuff. So when we're able to get this Instagram DM opt-in, we're then able to capitalize on it a lot.
Love it, Paul. It sounds like you've created an amazing system. I haven't seen. There may be, I guess that's a question for you. Do you feel like you've got any competitors in the market at all? Do you feel like you're creating a new category? Do you feel like you are doing things in a way that nobody else has done before? I don't know kind of what the state of this industry is, because I don't specialize in social commerce in this way. So maybe you can tell me, do you feel like you're creating a completely new category of marketing automation software in what you've built?
Completely. This is the case actually, because we were the first company actually to believe that the team social media should stop to be a cost center for the brand. And actually we are the first actually to capitalize on this function in order to help the brands to grow. Today, nobody is making it. I'm sure tomorrow it will be a commodity. We'll see a lot of brands doing it. And we want to be actually the best, with the best customers today, with the best use cases, with the best different kind of flows to creating it. So this is why we do believe that all the brands will make it today. So actually our job and our focus today is to help the best brands to create the best use cases with them. So actually we can create the future leader in DM marketing.
And how do you guys make your money? How do you charge? I don't see a pricing page on your website. You're a SaaS platform, obviously. So how do you guys make your money? How do you charge for this platform/service?
Yeah, actually, it's mostly based on usage and value that we are giving to our customers. We work with no engagement. We want to be this kind of SaaS with e-commerce. We know that what's important for them is generating revenues. So we base actually our fees on this part. And regarding we fix for our users a target ROAS, and we define the pricing regarding this target ROAS. So this is the purpose. At the moment, we are still building the business model with our users regarding what they need to achieve.
So in other words, you base it on the return on ad spend is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. And so what type of ROAS figures are you seeing? Just roughly an average across the board, what type of ROAS are you seeing?
Yeah, the bottom is our max is 20, and in average we're about 8.
Wow, that is a spectacular ROAS. So it sounds like it would be a phenomenal opportunity for brands to get more deeply embedded in their customer experience. And if people want to find out more about Albou, just for everybody listening, the URL is getubu, so getubu.com. So Paul, would you like people that are interested in Albou and want to maybe learn more, would you prefer they just go to the website? Would you prefer that they connect with you on LinkedIn? How should people get a hold of you?
Yeah, both. Actually, it's simple, because today on my landing page, it redirects directly to my calendar. So I will be very more than pleased to meet them in person and to see how we can help them to leverage their Instagram channel.
Fantastic. Listen, Paul, it's been amazing chatting with you. We're now at the point of our session together where I get to flip the script. I get to turn the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. And it can be personal, it can be professional, it can be any question you like. So I'm turning the microphone over to Paul Albou from Albou, the new platform that really is helping supercharge Instagram contact between brands and their community.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Actually, I wanted to have your opinion actually as an expert on e-commerce. What was for you actually the point and the value of Instagram for the brands you are seeing, the brands you are helping, etc.? Because what I see most of the time is that always Instagram is just made for social ads, but in terms of the organic way, what's your point of view on this?
Yeah, look, I think, and again, I'm no social expert by any stretch of the imagination. The social platform where I have the biggest following and the highest engagement is LinkedIn by far. And so, look, I have a very small following on Instagram. I found it very difficult to build an organic following on Instagram. But then again, I'm not a fashion influencer. I'm not a fashion brand. And so my content isn't really, I guess, the type of popular content. I'm not one of the beautiful people. And so it doesn't, I guess my content doesn't necessarily, my content is very niche and it's very business focused. But from what I'm seeing and what I'm witnessing out there, because Meta has so killed off the organic reach on Instagram to where it's basically a pay to play platform now, same with Facebook, and even TikTok is moving in that direction where it's a pay to play platform. We see this with every social media platform. It's initially basically free and you have insane organic reach, like nearly 100% organic reach. And then slowly over time, they kill that off and transition you into a pay to play environment. But I think Instagram still has a lot of legs left in it. And certainly I think Instagram stories, I think Instagram live, I think those things are where brands are really starting to try to create a deeper connection with their customers. And the other way I think brands are smartly leveraging Instagram is in live shopping. So there's quite a few, and I've featured a couple on our podcast before. There's several live shopping platforms that simulcast, both on the website itself and to these other meta platforms. So they can go on Facebook Live automatically, they can go on Instagram Live automatically, and live stream directly from their website all at the same time, and then embed that in a more permanent way by having it then live on in the Instagram feed, and then having it live on the website associated with the products that have been covered. So I think Instagram still presents a massive opportunity. It's just, I think it's the CAC associated with Instagram is going through the roof. But for brands that can build a community in smart ways off Instagram and then push them towards Instagram as a primary contact channel, I still see it as very powerful.
Definitely. And actually, all these relationship things is becoming actually the focus in Meta, because as you could see in 2022, it was the first year Meta was losing revenue. They said, okay, metaverse, etc. It's too much bullshit, etc. Let's go into something that we can measure. And you can see actually that today Meta is betting a lot on everything that is about interactions on WhatsApp, on Messenger, on Instagram DMs, because what they see from that is that they don't rely on cookie. Like once you get an opt-in through DM, it's not because there will be a change in iOS policy that you won't be able to reach the people that wants to be reached by you. So actually, we see today that there will be massive investment on these channels, on the relationships that a brand can build with its community. And it's like this actually that they can be free from actually the rise of acquisition cost, etc.
Completely agree. It's similar. I see Instagram DMs very much like I see Facebook groups, right? So Facebook groups, you have 100% reach. There is no limitation to the organic reach on a Facebook group. And so I think that with Instagram DMs, unless you're blocked, once somebody's opted in, you have 100% organic reach. Your message is always going to get through. And I see Facebook groups as very much the same. And so I think that these opt-in opportunities within all of these social platforms where you have effectively said, I want to see every single post from the group or from this brand, then I think customers should have that opportunity. They should have the opportunity to, instead of having the traditional Instagram feed is highly curated and weighted in favor of advertising as opposed to organic reach. And therefore, I think that customers of brands that want to have that 100% guaranteed visibility, you can effectively opt into a brand on Instagram via notifications. You can say, look, notify me. You can click on that and you can be notified every single time that brand posts, but it's not a seamless experience to make that happen. The brand actually has to ask you. You have to see when they ask you to do that. You have to actually effectively subscribe to their feed specifically. So there's a lot of friction to that. Whereas DMs, I think there's a lot less friction to that experience. And I think that it's similar to Facebook groups where you effectively have 100% organic reach. So I do see the benefit of trying to get into that one-to-one communication with your community, your customers, anybody that interacts with your content, even if they're not deeply embedded in your community. Maybe they only interact with you once, but trying to extend that interaction out by having a more direct communication channel with them, that makes complete sense to me. So I think what you've built is exciting, it's interesting, it's novel, and I wish you every success. So look, I look forward to chatting with you again in the future as you continue to build out the platform. So thank you, Paul, for sharing all about Albou today. I really appreciate it.
Both. Thank you so much. See you.
Are you a B2B or D2C e-commerce merchant? Then head over to greenwoodconsulting.net to learn how we can help you scale your business.